Welcome to the 2025 Natemareflix Horror Awards, where the budget is low and so is the effort, but at least the enthusiasm and passion for horror is high. Now, I saw almost 30 releases in 2024, and I liked a whole lot of them. In fact, I don't even think I could do a real top 10 ranking because the ranking is just too fluid. The movies we got last year were just so varied, so many different subgenres, so many different levels of effectiveness, so many different themes, so many different types of scares. And so rather than doing a stagnant ranking of 10 films, I'm going to talk about way more than 10 films. And we'll talk about what worked, what didn't. We'll talk about specific movies and the specific little thing that they did that was oh so charming or special. And we will award them for it and we will celebrate them for it. Now, as always, I invite you to play along in the comment section. Let me know who you would have chosen for each one of these awards. And now let's get the show underway. I'm going to attempt to work through our award recipients in alphabetical order. I mean, we're going to get started with Abigail, which is taking home 2 awards. One for the best quote of 2024.
I got him!
Sammy, those are fucking onions.
And one for most rewatchable horror film of 2024. Director duo Radio Silence doesn't really care about pointing a finger at society, about challenging the way you view the world, about even disturbing you or scaring you all too much. They just want to splatter some blood around and make sure you have a damn good time while you watch their flick. And I have a better time every single time I watch Abigail. It is just a good, fun horror movie that at its heart is a B movie with A movie production. I love this little titular ballerina vampire and the ensemble that she preys upon. What a fun cast. I can't even choose a favorite character because they all shine oh so bright, as you saw in that clip with that amazing quote that kind of went viral in 2024. Alien Romulus wins Best Effects of 2024, and I know there was a lot of kvetching about the deep-faked Ash, but outside of that, there are just so many incredible, breathtaking effects in Alien Romulus. They did such a good job of creating tangible sets and monsters that really made you give up your buy-in and made you give up your suspension of disbelief, and it was able to transport you for those reasons to a space shuttle that was being transformed into a veritable hell full of face huggers, xenomorphs, phallic and sapphic imagery, and all sorts of gooey awfulness. Not to mention what was going on outside of the space shuttle looked brilliant and beautiful, just like when the Romulus Remus structure starts to crash down into the rings. And then what's going on in that third act on board the ship is bestial, brutal, disgusting, and breathtaking for all the right reasons, because we're talking horror after all. I love the TLC they've put into this thing. They really did realize cosmic terror, and we've come so far from the man in the suit alien of the 1970s. Azrael wins the Willy's Wonderland Award for Way to Waste a Charming Actor. Samara Weaving is beloved by the horror community for her acting chops and of course her stunning face, but also she has this quirky, big personality that just pops on screen. So what do, Azrael? You render her mute for the entire runtime of your film. What a peculiar decision that I can't understand for the life of me. The First Omen wins for Best Prequel of 2024. Director Arkasha Stevenson blew away my expectations and gave me a film that I might like just as much or maybe even more than that original classic Omen film. And that's because this prequel has deft direction, strong performances, smart ties to that original story, sensational cinematography, skin-crawling scares, and a whole bunch of sinister sights that are just delightfully dark and disturbing. Founders Day wins the holy shit, am I the only person that saw this movie? Does it even actually exist, or was it a part of some sort of weird fever dream I had? No, seriously, no one else has ever even acknowledged this thing's existence award. And the Double Bird Award for the worst horror film of 2024 goes to Imaginary. That's right, Blumhouse. With Imaginary, you have a film that, unlike others that sometimes receive 2 thumbs down, your film receives 2 middle fingers up for being the absolute worst thing I had to sit through in a theater in 2024. And A Violent Nature is going to take home 2 awards. The first award is for the horror achievement in ASMR, because so much of this movie is spent looking over the killer's shoulder as he hikes through the ambient woods of Canada. That's right, drift off to sleep as you listen to the dulcet tones of forest birds, the crunching of crisp leaves, or maybe even the snacks of sticks and shrubbery. And just as you start to drift off into La La Land, may you finally be rocked back to your consciousness by the best kill in 2024. That's right, It's a tough task, but I think In a Violent Nature actually outdid Art the Clown and Terrifier 3 with what is being called the yoga kill. Now, I can't show it here, but seek it out because it is gnarly, it is gruesome, it is creative, and it is a sight to behold. Never seen anything quite like that. Like I said, it outdid Art the Clown, and that's really saying something. Late Night with the Devil wins the best original horror of 2024. David Dastmalchian dazzles as Jack Delroy, the late night host of Night Owls. Now, this is a character of great duality. He's just as conniving as he is charming, and this movie is just so much fun for someone who loves late night films. Dastmalchian loves to champion deep cut horrors and cult classics, and now I think he finds himself at the core of one himself. I think this movie will have quite the enduring legacy, AI controversy aside, because I don't know that I've seen a found footage movie quite like this, and I've definitely not seen a possession film quite like this, and it does both of those things. Lisa Frankenstein wins the I'll Be in My Room Listening to the Cure award for being the unabashed champion of the social outcast in 2024. Now, maybe you thought Longlegs was the scariest movie of 2024, or maybe you were like me and you just didn't feel like it quite lived up to the hype. But that being said, I'm still giving Longlegs 2 awards, and the first is for the best use of Nicolas Cage, and the second is for the best musical performance of 2024.
Let me in now, and it can be nice.
Maxine wins the Daily Affirmations Award because Maxine fucking Minx will not accept a life she does not deserve, and neither should you. Biggest surprise cameo goes to Night Swim. When I saw the trailer for Night Swim, never did I expect to see Grimace from McDonald's floating in the deep end. All jokes aside, what is that monster creature design? It looks like a soggy nugget is in the pool. Now, of course, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is not going home empty-handed. I am giving Nosferatu 2 awards, one for the best cinematography of 2024 and one for best horror villain. I really enjoyed the cinematography, and I know I was not alone because I keep seeing frames shared online. Just so many of them are so dark and decadent in their beauty that they feel like macabre exhibits in a museum. And I love that the way that Eggers really combined classical filmmaking that you would have seen from like F.W. Murnau or maybe Ingrid Bergman, and then he mixed that and fused it with his own modern style of filmmaking and new camera tricks to where some shots your mind just begged to like figure out how they even accomplished the shot. And then of course, you know, our titular baddie Nosferatu, aka Count Orlok, best villain of 2024 for me. Just so much presence, so much gravitas. Love the way that Skarsgård completely disappeared into this character. So foreboding and menacing, and just an absolute cretin. And the way that he grooms Ellen, the way that he's predatory and doesn't have to be there. You always feel his presence even when he's not on screen, much like his hand casting the town in its shadow. And I mean, what other villain hung dong and dared you to suck on some darkness? Or sorry, succumb to darkness? Oddity wins for best horror prop. No freaking way I would want to sit in a room with this thing. I mean, look at it. And there's definitely no way I'd want to sit in a room with this thing if that room was the very room that my spouse or sibling had been murdered in. Smile 2 was one of my biggest surprises of the year, and that's why it is going to take on 2 awards. One for best sequel and one for best performance in a horror movie. Now, Smile 2 took everything that was done in Smile 1 and just used a bigger budget to give every scare more punch, more impact, and way more teeth. And it did so creatively. There were a few jump scares in here that really rocked me and rattled me. And just a few shots that just looked oh so freaking cool. Like all of those dancers piling on top of each other in like a sinister flash mob. And then the movie, on top of all the old traditional horror trappings, threw in really cool like stage, music, concert production stuff. Oh, and the movie opens on a long take that feels like an action-packed crime drama. Really, Parker Finn was just showing off and flexing his directorial muscles with this feature, and now I am so interested to see what he is going to do next, because when I watched that first Smile movie, I had no idea this guy had so much talent and so much capability. And so much of that has to do with this movie really balancing squarely on the talented shoulders of Naomi Scott, who was my best performer of 2024. This role was daunting. Horror actresses, they never get enough credit. It has to be such a hard, demanding job to go to set every day, shoot long hours, and you're having to give all of yourself. You're having to run, cry, scream, really dig down deep and explore the depths of your soul, and to give across a performance that shows someone who is slipping into a paranoid state, who is in a manic state, who is losing themselves entirely in a grasp on reality, maybe has some sort of suicidal ideation. Just all the things are explored with this character, and that she has to do all of that, all the things you expect from a horror protagonist, while also doing it to the nth degree and having to learn dance choreography and execute every step and be perfect, and then also sing her ass off. This movie asked so much of her, and she just handled it with such aplomb. I was amazed by the performance of Naomi Scott, and that's why she gets the award. Strange Darling wins the most pretentious horror movie of 2024. Now look, I enjoyed Strange Darling, but here at natemareflix, we call a spade a spade. And so when you open your movie telling us this entire thing was shot on 35mm, and then you immediately go into, this movie's gonna have 6 chapters. Chapter 4. Well, then you know you're being a little bit highfalutin, a little bit pretentious, and so it is what it is, pal. These were your decisions. Strangers Chapter 1 wins for the worst reboot / remake / requel of 2024. It's almost like they looked at that first really well done home invasion flick and they're like, wow, there is so much dread and tension packed into this movie. It's unnerving. That's not nice to do to an audience. We should really make our movie way more stupid and way more digestible for everybody. Why would you want to scare folks so bad? That's not nice. The Substance wins the most WTF Moment of the Year award. Now, which moment specifically? I don't know. Take your pick. From beginning to end, this movie is just filled to the brim with scenes, moments, images, things that make you say, what the fuck? But in a really good way, you know? Terrifier 3 wins most disturbing horror movie of 2024. That's right, they may not have won Best Kill, but there were so many grisly, gory kills in this movie, so much ultra violence, so much unhinged brutality that this movie, it felt like it rewired my brain. I watch horror movies like almost every single day of the year, but the day after Terrifier 3, I still had a migraine as my brain ached from everything it was made to see in my auditorium, and I just wasn't ready to watch any more horror. I was reaching for like Winnie the Pooh because I needed something after seeing a chainsaw put up a man's ass and then said man flipped over and the Frankenbeans getting the same treatment as the old butt crack. And the last award of our festivities is a bit of a slap in the face, and that's okay because this movie slapped us in the face. I'm referring to Trap and M. Night Shyamalan's most egregious display of nepotism, the worst we saw in 2024. He didn't just make us listen to his daughter sing, he unfortunately made us watch her try to act, and I don't know if that was cooler to us or to the poor girl, because man, does she just not have it. We thought Papa Shyamalan was a bad actor who should stop cameoing on his own films. Oh, wait till you get a load of his family. So there you go, guys. Those are our awards for 2024. I hope you had fun with this video. If you do, could you please hit like and subscribe? We're still a very small channel, and we're trying to go places and really grow in 2025. You keep the engagement coming, and we'll keep the fun horror content coming. But even if you don't, I still got something to ask of you. Would you please go out there and have yourself a great day? I am Nate for Natemareflix saying that's a wrap.